Good morning, everyone. And thank you for joining us on a Saturday. My name is Selena. I'm here to host on behalf of J Bahamas Alumni Association. And we have today Jason Evans, who is a dear, dear friend of mine who has agreed to talk to us, struggling parents, at least I know I am, in reference to how it is that we navigate the face to face world versus the homeschooling world that we're kind of used to now and get our kids up and ready and prepared for exams.
For my school, we use Google Meet. And so once you're registered for the class, everything that I teach is in the Google Classroom, in the assignment folder. And so you can always go back to the last, all the other videos from the different classes if you didn't get your concept and refer back to the video. Even if you didn't understand the lesson as I'm teaching the lesson, the videos I put up to go along with the lesson always is to reinforce the lesson itself. Okay, so the only way or the only thing I can say to parents to prepare your child, one, maybe reach out to the teacher and find out what are the topics that the student is supposed to have covered over the semester. All right. So they have an idea of what they should grasp for the semester that should be on the test coming up. Okay. Um, Other than that, go through the assignments. All right. The assignments from the title should tell you, okay, what this lesson is about. You know, now again, I don't know how most teachers teach, so I don't know what would be in the assignment. Okay, that is more tailored to the teacher itself. So the best advice I could possibly say right now, if you're gonna assist your child, is go through the virtual assignments. All right. Now, some physical assignments, um, I would say also go through. I mean, because that's in the book. The teacher's marking
Mhm.
physically and that type of stuff. So you would want to go through that with the students so that they figure out where they went wrong, how they went wrong, and that type of stuff. So you're still gonna go back to the old ways of doing stuff in the new way of us doing things.
So
Um,
it's a
but
hybrid
what I would
thing.
like, yes, and what I would like parents to kind of get is, even though it is a virtual situation for that's happening right now, I find that if the students are one in a comfortable home environment or an environment, um, they are more likely to be engaged in the class. Simply because if Johnny, the next door neighbor, is actually screaming, shouting with his wife or whatever, and all kind of chaos is going on, the student is not going to feel comfortable enough to want to participate, because you're going to get an idea of the surroundings they live in. If they turn on the video, you might see that, okay, they got a hole in the wall, and that kids are very, very, very conscious of what other students have to say. So virtual is hard and easy depending on the person. I don't know if I'm making sense, but
I think you are, and I think that I guess that concept does apply then as well to how it is that we as parents are sitting with the students and going through their assignments with them. I'm supposing it goes back to what Miss Garnell was saying, in that we should very, very much so make sure that we have a very, very quiet environment, an environment where the outside stimulus and the noise and TVs and everything is shut off.
yes,
I do have another question in reference to a tool that I found even at the college level that my daughter was using. And it has been something that I've asked my son to do. And I don't know if it's the right way of doing it, but she has gone to YouTube. So there may be some things in like the virtual setting that she's not getting.
Mhm.
Um, and what I'm finding her doing is actually going into YouTube then to look up the subject matter and maybe have it explained to her in a different way. And I'm not sure if we're going through the assignments with our kids at the end of the year and we're finding that there are maybe subjects or areas that they're struggling with, if we should then go to YouTube and then find different ways of seeing if that child will get the concept.
Listen, I call YouTube the new encyclopedia. Okay, like you don't need to go to the grandma house number one, look up the volumes of books and right. Like YouTube has everything now. A lot of times you have to sort through the crazy, but YouTube is very, very valuable. In fact, most of the videos, if I don't record them myself, I link from a YouTube account, right?
Mm,
Um, and like on one concept alone, you might find 100 videos, right? But as a teacher, educator, I try to find the simplest and the shortest videos because I understand attention spans. You know, if you go after a certain amount of time, you might as well turn off everything because they ain't listen no more. So um, you got to be conscious about the information and how you put the information out there. Because if the video is somebody who is teaching at a tertiary level, college level or whatnot, I mean, I can't necessarily use that for a kid in grade 8. They couldn't get it, right? So you have to tailor the videos so that the age appropriate video can reach the mindset that you need to teach.
okay, so as a parent, then when we are looking for those YouTube references, then make sure that we're very aware of the age groups and the grade levels that those videos might be targeted at. I think
Yes.
that's an excellent idea because some of the videos do lose me as well.
Yeah, and that's simply because it's like these people teaching at like doctorate level and stuff like that, they forget about high school and junior high, and
Mhm,
it's like can't relate. And
mhm.
so I feel that a lot of times the students actually do check out because you're speaking well above their head.
And that brings up another good point when we are going through the sessions with them. I know kids, some are still on Easter break, some have gone back to school.
Mm,
I know that that was the perfect study time. If, and again, like me with my son, if you could get them to sit down and do their reviews. Now that we're coming up to end of year, how much time would you say should we ask students to dedicate to their studies, considering the fact that they may be in virtual that day or
mhm.
face to face? And I know you just talked about attention spans. So, like, how much time is good time for them to retain the information, be attentive before they kind of clock out for the evening?
Well, here's the thing. Like pre-COVID, I think our classes were like an hour and 15 minutes each, right? Now, virtually, they're an hour. And I find that an hour is just the right amount of time. Like if we go over, like the brain is exhausted, your mind is tired, like you just can't take it no more. You're saturated at that point, you know. Then you also ask them to do homework on top of that, and this is the only ain't the only class. You know, they have 4 classes a day, you know. Um, and I've heard stories where parents, not parents, students complain that teachers sending them work at like 1:45 in the morning.
Wow.
Like, why are you even up at that time trying to send students work? That don't make sense, you know. But you know, teachers want to get the information across. Because here's the thing: I also feel as if we lost some time this year as well, simply because of the way that it is going. You know, we have some students who are not interested in coming back to school at all because they want to stay virtual. And now as a
Hmm.
teacher, it's kind of even more difficult, right? Because I have to write a lesson plan for the virtual student and do the actual physical lesson with the actual students who do come to school face to face, right? Now, the thing is, I can't necessarily do certain things when I want a group project with a virtual student,
Hmm. Hmm.
so there are challenges that come along with the whole virtual thing. But BJCs and the BJCs, they don't care. The information needs to be had for the students to get. And so the next step I can think is tutors, after school tutors, right? That might be able to help as well, because believe it or not, teachers are working harder now during the virtual as opposed to during the face-to-face. And so it's almost like you're doing two sets of teachings in a sense, virtual and the physical. So yes, after school programs, tutors probably would actually be able to help as well, especially for those national subject age groups, 9 and 12.
I want to go back to something again that again, the experience of a friend of mine, and I have to reference this back to just my own situations. I know initially when my son started with the virtual, I did notice a dip in the grades, which I couldn't figure out because now you have the teacher basically right in front of you teaching to you in this virtual setting, and a lot of them were sharing their answers anyway because they had virtual they had their phones out, they were able to do all of these things that they wouldn't
Yes.
have been doing in class. So
Yes.
if you're sharing
Yes.
answers and you're conferring, I just couldn't understand how the grades dropped. But then I think it goes back to what you're saying in terms of the attention span and making sure that they're focused in school. And this brings me back to those assignments. um, is it something like where this person had a situation where their child had done absolutely zero assignment work through the course of the year? How eh, how do we just go and check those now? And if our child has disappointed us in some way, shape, or form, do we then now have that conversation with the teacher to see how we could get them back on track now that we have maybe like a month, I think it is, before we have end of term?
Yes. Okay, I'll give you an example. I have about 6 students, grade 9, who all semester have not moved towards any coursework, right? From last semester. Like, because what I do for grade 9 is grade 9, grade 12, they focus on their coursework for the entire school year. That's all you're going to focus on. I mean, the end of the semester and the kids still haven't turned in anything. And they all the false promises, oh, Mr. Evans, I'm going to bring it next class. We on virtual. They don't come to virtual at all. When they do come to school, physically, they have to come to the art class. Why? Because you're at school and it's the first subject of the day. So whether you like it or not, you have to see Mr. Evans. And when they come to Mr. Evans, they have nothing. And so we sit there for an hour, talking about improving ourselves and how we're going to move forward with the next assignment or what you're going to do. And then the next class, again, is going to be virtual. And then you come back physical again, and they still bring nothing. And so at halfway through, I made them write a letter to their parents, explaining to their parents why they're wasting their parents' money. And I don't want parents coming to me saying, okay, my child is in your class, why are they getting F? Well, how am I as a teacher going to inspire them to do the work if they're not interested in doing the work?
So you think a lot of it then
I physically can't.
comes back to the parents in terms of making sure that our kids are submitting those assignments on time. And if there is an issue, then coming directly to the teacher, the subject teacher, or the head of the department, and working out some type of arrangement, almost like the bank, where you put in deposits of the assignments
Yes.
over a course of time to make sure that the classwork grades then don't affect the end of year exams, or sorry, the combinations don't kind of throw each other
Yes.
off.
Yes. And again, if the students are not interested in doing the work, they're not going to do the work.
Do you have any tips on how it is that parents can motivate the kids to do the work? I know, like, we live in the Bahamas, so it is like by
Not
threat.
really.
But you do have, again, I think it has been a very difficult year for both us, we as parents,
Yeah.
and our kids, because they're not in a situation where they're going to a place every day. Things are very uncertain, and I think that has an impact on them psychologically. But in order to not add to that, but maybe be more of an inspirational? Are there any tips? Do we reward them? Do we, what do we do to get them
But
motivated?
before I answer that, it ain't just the parent and the student, it's also the educators as well who's going through this. Don't forget.
That's true.
Okay.
That's true.
Like there's a lot that we go through with all of this as well. All right. So now the only thing I can say is, and I find that a lot of kids they feel cooped up. You know, especially during the first semester, it was all virtual. I mean, they kept asking for an outing, like, could we at least? So the only thing I could have done for them was on a Friday, they had a free period, my homeroom. And so what I would do is we would sit in homeroom virtually for that hour, and we would have discussions. They get to talk about anything. And, you know, sometimes this was the first time they actually spoke to somebody outside of their household in a week.
Wow.
You know, so like, yes, the kids are kind of getting a little antsy because this is a lot. You're sitting home all the time. You know, like right now this semester, my students, because we do face to face, what I used to do with them last semester was more we play games. Like I let them do scavenger hunts, right? Like even though everybody's in their own homes, like the first person to bring me back 3 yellow t-shirts. Oh, everybody run around get, you know, and you know, during Halloween, I made the class do a mask competition, right? Everybody make a mask. I invited the principal and another teacher who were the judges, and the winner I gave them $50. You know, like you know, of course the parent had to come to school to pick up the money and all that type stuff. But you know, you got to keep it interesting because it's a lot. You know, if you're just saying you got to learn, yeah, but there's also playtime as well. You know, there's also socializing, and socializing was one of the things that I think was absolutely ripped from these students. You know, we're sociable people. We're very sociable people, and so I think that was the biggest thing. The cry for the students was, you know, they just missing their friends. They just miss hanging out. They just miss being around people, not their family. You know.
So, as parents, then, with social distancing protocols, now that we have a little bit more freedom, it might be wise for us to create study groups for our kids, then, to get them at least together. While I know they're in school virtually, but I know again in my son's school, they have the social distancing protocols. They have to sit very much apart. They can't even talk during lunch. Um,
Yeah, that's how it's supposed to be. They're not supposed to socialize at all. You stay in your homeroom.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know.
So then maybe getting them together outside of virtual, outside of
Small groups.
the classrooms is something that
Yeah.
can be done to help them then learn from each other.
Let me tell you, it was so bad that these kids lied on a teacher and told the parents that this teacher was going to chaperone them to go at grade 7. And so you had a bunch of grade 7 that went out to, I think it was Fusion or something like that. And the parents calling the teacher like, well, how come you were in here? Whatever. What are you talking about? It's like, well, kid said that you were going to be at a chaperone. Me? I never said that.
You know? They're looking for outlets, and that will
Yes.
help them to get that that social, but then also focus them. And like you said, it can't be just all study, study, study.
Yes.
I see that we have Miss Adderley who is unmuted. Miss Adderley, did you have a question?
I'm just joining the call. I was in and out, and I commend my educator. I've been in the field for almost 40 years, and so I wanted Mr. Evans. You know, he's the more tech person. Can I just say, and I endorse what you said, Mr. Evans.
Right,
indeed, this is a partnership between the 4 prongs: the school, be it the educator, the secretary, the teacher, the parent, and the student. We are all involved, and one cannot stand alone.
Yes.
I'm a parent, I'm a teacher, I'm an administrator, so I have background in all of those prongs. This is a new normal. Nothing is easy. We switch the flip every day. And as you so rightly said, we have to work together. We have never traveled this way before. I don't know what's going to happen next week with the numbers rising, but let's use technology more. the Zoom calls. I would advise my parents, why don't you have a study on Zoom? Of course, we are still trying. I already gotten the national exams. That's going to start soon. Mr. Evans, you know how that is. And we are so afraid that we have to cover the curriculum. We aren't covering anything right now. We're trying to stay alive. And there's no way we are going to finish this curriculum in 1 month. So whatever we would have covered, we're going to try our best. Let's encourage our parents, and you are such an involved parent. I just want to commend you. You do all you can. No more trips to the mall, I would say. Don't buy our kids everything. No, we have exams to study for now. I would just hold off of that. Let's get on the Zoom calls and have a study group. You as a parent, you are very involved. You can do that for 45 minutes and you will be surprised what our students can do when they have a motivator, you, the parent. Yes. So let's work together. Yes. This is not easy. God knows what's going to happen next week. Let's work together, and there's nothing normal about this. And so what if we miss a whole year? All of us have missed it. In another 10 years, this would not matter, but we have to stay alive. So let's work together. Let's do all we can. It's a partnership between the 4 prongs, as I said. And I can preach all day. I like to talk. And so I'm going to leave this to you folks. Thanks for this opportunity. And I'm glad to be a part of the chat this morning. God bless.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ms. Adderley. I think you've summed it up quite nicely. It is a new normal. No one knows really the best approach because we've all been kind of thrown and thrust into this. And you're right. We as a parent, I know that I have a certain obligation to my son who's still in high school to make sure that he is doing what he says he's doing on Zoom when he does have the virtual class. And
which grade is he? Excuse me, which grade?
He's 11th now. But again, I found when when he went into 10th and this all started happening, that I did notice the dip in his grades. And like I said, I was confused because here you are sitting in front of the computer telling me you're in class. But then I started to have to check on him more because I couldn't leave it up to him. And I had to say, well, why is the phone out? And who are you chatting with? Is this relative to school? Why is YouTube on? I especially feel very, very sorry for the parents that have little ones because I've had the opportunity to assist a friend of mine with their child who's 8. And the attention span, again, is just not there. The child gets kicked out of class more than he's in class because of the fact that he's just focused on that tablet, and it's very difficult for him. I can always tell when he's in class because his face looks like, and when he's on YouTube, he's like this.
But yeah, a lot of times when I'm asking students to explain a concept or whatever, and I hear that textbook answer that they're giving me, I know that they actually went on their phone, on their computer, and Googled the answer. So you know what I do with that? Now that you've read that answer, I want you to not regurgitate, but I want you to explain exactly what you read to me. And when they can't, then I'm like, okay, well now you don't understand the concept. I don't need you to read the concept to me because you're not understanding the concept. For you to understand the concept, you need to understand the concept.
I think I'm going to put that in my arsenal as well, because it means then when we're going over these assignments with our kids, then what we could do is ask them to explain it back to us in their own words, what it means. And when we're doing these, I know particularly with the essay questions, it can be quite challenging for the kids to kind of get into that. But again, I think looking at it from that approach is again another one of those tips that we can use to help them.
Because the thing is, think about it. If you don't know how to bake a cake, you can't necessarily explain it properly. But if you know through experience how to bake a cake with your eyes closed, you could tell anybody how to bake a cake. Same concept. If you don't know the concept, you're going to fumble your way through it. But if you know what you're talking about, you will actually be able to just let that flow off of you because you know it. And you could always tell the students who know it from who don't know it.
Yeah. Well, I always know when my son is not telling me what I always know when there's something a little off there for what he's saying.
Exactly. You know that enough. Yes, you know him now.
I know that
Yes,
we
you know him
have
now.
another parent on the call, Ms. Kay. I don't know if you wanted to ask any questions or if you have any comments for us. Okay. All right, Jason. So I will leave it up to you to wrap us up with any closing thoughts, and I will then thank everyone for coming.
All right, well, closing thoughts. Be a little bit more understanding with your kids. You know, it's a lot they're going through. You know, and you know, me as an artist, teacher, yeah, I push my kids. I really do. You know, and I'm very passionate about art. So if they have any teachers like me, you know, yeah, they can need a little break. You know, because I have intense. I really I push them. Don't let me see that you have potential. I push you. And so, yeah, if they're on a little break, please let them have the little break. You know, because when they go back between the virtual and the face to face, it's going to be a lot. And especially if they're the national um, exam students ages. Yeah, because a lot of them, I understand for a couple of the classes, they're not even like they're about 3/4 away through their school year. I don't know if they're going to be finished in time for the national exams simply because of the type of year that we've had, right? So, yeah, you know, I ain't saying pamper them, you know, take them out to the spa and, beach treatment and all that type stuff. But just understand it's been a real intense year for everybody, including yourselves. Okay, don't forget to pamper you too.
Thank you, Jason. Thank
Yes,
you.
yes, yes.
I
It'll be help.
appreciate your time this morning, especially consider that you in the bush fires in Eleuthera, and that
Listen,
you still made it.
waking up at 6 o'clock this morning, seeing bright flames. Okay, it was not fun. I'm
No.
supposed to be on vacation. You know, the house smells like smoke right now. You know,
Well, hopefully you'll get out to the beach.
look outside. It's gray
Oh
from the
wow. Well,
smoke.
you need to get out of there because
So,
you need to protect yourself. And ladies, thank you so
well,
much.
okay. Here's
Jason, you're breaking up.
what do you do? The place might still go up in flames.
But don't think like that.
Okay, well, don't worry about it. There's the Wi-Fi has been in and out.
No, but I think you've done an
Yes,
amazing
yes.
job.
Keep the conversation going.
Yes, you've done an amazing job this morning in helping me as a parent understand the educator's perspective. And also, Ms. Adderley, thank you so much for your perspective as well, because that kind of shapes now the narrative for how it is that we move forward with the kids in getting them to study. Yes, we have all sorts of tools available to us as parents. We should be utilizing them and also understanding the position that the educators are in as well as the students. So I do really appreciate everyone for taking the time to spend with us this morning on a Saturday morning and giving that up. And again, I will be sending this out to everyone that is registered and attended so that you also have it back to refer to once we finish with a little bit of the editing to make it a succinct broadcast for you. So again, Jason, thank you again for giving up your vacation in Eleuthera. Appreciate that.
You know, I got you.
For being with us. Thank you. I'm going to call you after, make sure you're safe. And then everyone else, I'm going to say thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your Saturday.
All right. Thank you. And thanks, Ali, as well.
Yes, good afternoon. Okay, take care.
Good afternoon.
Bye-bye.
Good morning.